The goal of the show is to help you break in and thrive in advertising and marketing. Welcome back to our brand site segment where we interview marketing professionals. But really, this episode, I put a little question mark because Kirsten Atkinson is the SVP for Brand Partnerships at Complex Network. 11 million followers on Complex's Instagram. They speak to Gen Z and millennials. It is an entertainment media company. And they crush it. So Kirsten basically steps in when brands want to partner with them and speak to their audience. So how do they do it? Is it one and done stuff? Is it just slap a logo here? Absolutely not. Kirsten gets things customized for those brands, and there is a really cool process that she'll talk about in this episode. Great for anybody that wants to be in brand partnerships, and she talks about how she broke into media at first. Follow her. Connect with us. Follow us on LinkedIn at Breaking Entering Media for more content. Now on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast Brand Side Edition. And as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. All right. Kirsten Atkinson, welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast. How are you doing today?
I am good. Thank you.
I'm freaking pumped. We're going to learn so much about you and your role as SVP for Brand Partnerships at Complex Network. Is that right?
That's right.
Great.
It's been a journey, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think the thesis of this episode in your career is in one sentence that people are going to expect right now?
It's about having passion for what you do, having fun, and knowing when to pivot in your career.
Boom. I like that. So outside of the work stuff, what do you like to do? Where do you live? Where are you from? What do you like to do in your free time? Unless there is no free time, and that's cool too.
I find some free time. I'm from Sacramento, California. I was raised there. I went to college in Atlanta, started my career in Chicago.
Nice.
And I moved to Los Angeles about 23 years ago. And I've been in advertising in Los Angeles for 23 years. But I spent a lot of time in New York, traveling across the country, even in Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, visiting clients. So the unique thing about me and where I live is that I'm a little bi-coastal between Los Angeles and Atlanta.
Okay, got it. And what's any big takeaways, ethos about those cities when it comes to the advertising marketing landscape?
Los Angeles specifically, it's a great advertising market, very heavily entertainment driven, automotive driven, gaming, tech, right, on the West Coast. But it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place with the weather and, how fun it can be being by the beach. It's just being in advertising, which can be a very grueling career. It's a great balance. True.
Yeah. In New York here, there's no escape. It's just
and
just constantly angry and shoving people around, trying to move fast and stuff like that. There's no sunshine, at least not yet. So I like that. Well, tell me about your role then at Complex. This is interesting because we've had on agency professionals, we've had on brand side professionals, people that work for one specific brand, let's say Casio, and they're brand managers at Casio, and we learn about that. But this is publisher side here. So give us the rundown. What does that mean? What's it like at Complex?
It's a very fun and interesting place to work because it's really focused around youth culture and connecting brands to an audience that's hard to reach. And we're doing it through the lens of lifestyle passions, right? Whether that is because you're a passionate fan of sports or sneakers or music. We help brands connect with this audience in a unique way, in an authentic way, through our content and through the commerce programs that we have and experiential opportunities that we provide to our brands.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the content at Complex because I love it.
Sure.
I follow it. I get it in my Instagram feed often. I send it around. Is there a niche? Or is it just a lifestyle media publication? How do you guys define that?
Yeah, I think it's having a pulse on what the youth demographic really cares about. And when we talk about youth, it's Gen Z, it's millennial.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it is, the lifestyle angle of culture.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is, Chris Brown being arrested today,
Mm-hmm.
and, overseas, or if it's about, a brand new sneaker drop, it can range in interest, but it's what is now, what's in the future, and what's important to this younger demographic.
What would be like, let's do like a scenario. Like what would be like a sponsor that you guys already have? Like
Mm-hmm.
can we talk about and like pretend like you're pitching me and I'm that brand? Like what would you say?
Yeah. You know, let's take I do a lot of work with auto brands. So
Yeah,
let's take a Toyota for an example.
great. So
Um,
I'm a Toyota brand ambassador. I want to get my car or this new
mhm,
truck in front of the Gen Z audience as they're
mhm.
about to be driving and they're about to get their own cars as they're leveling up. And I want to go through complex. I don't know if I really want to do it yet. I'm on the fence. Like, what would you say?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to understand, what are your priorities, right?
Hmm.
What car are you trying to launch? What what are you missing in terms of reaching this audience? And what are your KPIs? What's super important for you at the end of the day to drive as far as a performance indicator? Um, we would then look at across the board what we have to offer, right? Like I mentioned, content. Maybe it's sneaker shopping,
Hmm.
right? Maybe it's idea generation with our head of content, Noah. And we would then take the vehicle and say, listen, if you want to reach this younger demographic, let's do it authentically. Let's go to sneaker shopping. Let's get Joe LaPuma in the car. Let's do a custom, sort of opener to the show. Let's integrate the car into the show.
Hmm.
But let's go a step further. What about if we do something really unique in that episode where we're doing a custom sneaker and we're working with Adidas, and let's do a custom Toyota branded sort of very, hip and, unique designed sneaker with the Adidas brand, put
Sure.
it in the show. Let's
Yeah.
drop it on complex commerce and really do a full 360.
Yeah, maybe a brand activation too, like a pop-up, like
Correct.
it's so interesting. And this is of course speculation. We're just doing a hypothetical here, but I think it's really interesting to think about how you have all of these different pulse points that you can tap into,
Right.
but then you're also creating these unique experiences, not just plug and play. Like we'll put in
Correct.
like a presented by
That's right. And that's the thing with complex. Everything is custom. Now we have turnkey, what we call
turnkey.
media, right? Where you're running your brand ads. Um, and let's say you're just running your 30-second spot before the show. That is something we offer. But again, that's not really making our marketing clients excited about working with us versus working with our competitors.
Yeah.
We have IP that's extremely valuable in order for brands to really authentically connect to this audience, as I said.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so what do you think the brands that you partner with when they do or they're interested, what do they care about most? Is it the reach and like getting to your audience, or is it that customization? Like, what are some of those key
It's
points?
both,
Yeah.
right? It's a combination of actually reaching this audience at scale. We reach about 107 million people per month. That's a third of the US. And we're doing it through a custom lens, excuse me, and very intentional. It's really understanding the brief of the client. Again, who are they trying to reach? Why? What are the brand challenges? How can we sort of help them overcome that? But then again, it has to be through a lens that is going to resonate culturally with this consumer.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious then with the customization, and you also get that mass reach as well. Like, how does it allow for you guys to do something long term with a brand,
Hmm.
or is it more so built for
Mm,
let's just do something custom a couple times and like go for quality over quantity?
right. No, it's you have to sort of build a relationship with this audience.
Yeah,
I mean, you all know yourselves, you're very discerning, as a younger demographic, you understand that brands enable, right, experiences. So you also accept brands. So you have to build this long-term relationship with them in order to sort of drive that consideration and drive that ultimate buying behavior. So we certainly do work with brands on a long-term basis. So that might mean we'll do a season-long partnership
Yeah.
through content. It might mean, hey, let's every Black History Month or every, sort of summer, we'll do a concert series, right? It's
Yep.
building equity within our IP, but also with the audience over time. And a campaign and a program can sort of evolve. You might crawl, walk, run. At the beginning, we might just do an experiential activation at ComplexCon, for an example. But then next year, we'll do a content element we might do branded content, right? Leading into ComplexCon, telling a different story and activating in a different way. There's so much that we can do. And the landscape is changing all the time. I mean, we're on a podcast right now. We could launch a podcast with a client, right? We can integrate them in our current podcast. Or we were meeting with a client yesterday in the liquor category, and we're proposing a sort of World Cup activation, but including out-of-home advertising in that to help promote it on the ground in the market. So the great thing is that it's a creative role, right? It certainly is as custom as the conversation that we're having with the client, or it is as surface level as maybe just entering, right? The conversation, which could be just media only, until a client might get more and more comfortable with sort of being a little bit more integrated into our space.
Got it. So you have to know all the capabilities, all the offerings within Complex, and then maybe tap some other subject matter experts, like with the customization, like head of content can come in there and maybe ideate on some fun solutions. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's a creative role where my team and across the board, we're brainstorming all the time. So, and I mentioned this to you before, I came from the sort of planning side of agency life.
Yeah.
We would sit with our creative team, right? And granted, we would only have one or two clients internally that we would work on, but we would brainstorm, what does that campaign look like? And our role in brand partnerships at Complex has become very much like that agency structure. We have a creative strategist. We work with that person or that team to figure out what's the big idea, what's the insight, where can we sort of beat the competitive set, our competitive set in terms of if we're pitching an idea, and theirs, right? How do we make them stand out amongst their category? And we put these ideas together, go to the client and present them. They give us feedback. We come back and massage those ideas. But not only do we sort of, come up with these ideas, we execute from start to finish. So we have account management, fulfilling every single deliverable that we've discussed. And a lot of it is very custom. And we measure it and we talk about at the end, how well did it perform? So it is a full campaign that we sort of walk, hand in hand with our clients to from start to finish.
Incredible. Amazing. So you necessarily there is traditional content people, like journalists or like content creators that are working on the day-to-day stuff to ensure that the brand is putting out amazing stuff that resonates with the right audience, correct? And then you guys are also in weaving in sponsorship opportunities and these partnerships within that as well. You can't just abruptly interrupt what's going on.
Right. Yeah. And we're monetizing the content, right?
I was going to ask that. So how do you monetize the content on that side, on their side?
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than other media companies, right? There's a cost for capturing the eyeballs that we are delivering. So whether that is running your 30-second spot, there's a cost for that, right? There's a separate cost for if we're doing an event or an activation at, let's say, Family Style, which is our food festival we're doing this Saturday in Brooklyn for the first time.
I want to go to that.
We'll get you in, VIP.
What day is it?
It's this Saturday, the 17th. Yeah.
I can go. In the day?
During the day, 1 to 9.
I think I can get there for a little bit.
Very fun.
I can get there.
But we have 6 brand partners that are activating at Family Style. And, it's not just popping up a tent at a food festival. It is, how are we meaningfully integrating these brands into these moments, but then creating content around that to not only promote that they'll be there, but promote their product alongside our IP and our events as we're promoting our
Oh, I'm looking forward to
event as
seeing
well.
that, because I'm sure
Yep.
it'll be fun and creative, and it'll be a ride. So
Yeah, you'll have equally, there'll be music, food, entertainment there, and also streetwear. So
makes sense.
super fun.
Makes sense. Let's kick it back then to, you obviously know so much. You gave us a little crash course on your job today in Complex. Everybody should go and subscribe. Go to complex.com. What's the way to do that?
Hey, you can consume our content on complex.com, of course, but go to our IG handles, our TikTok.
It's all over.
All over. Yeah, YouTube, a huge YouTube channel where most of our premium content, like sneaker shopping, idea generation, what's in your phone, and other really big content series live on the .com. We just launched a new show called Card Shopping with Joe LaPuma, and his first episode was with Tom Brady. So check that out. That just launched last week. And so, again, our audience is sort of centered in and around youth culture and what's relevant, right? So you see Tom Brady showing his collectible cards, right? And our audience is also into collecting things. And so starting with an insight to say, we know our audience so well that we're not taking a risk to launch the show. We know it's going to hit because of how in tune we are with the trends. And that's why brands come to us and respect us and want to work with us, because this audience is very difficult to understand. And we're sort of leading the charge, and not just understanding who they are and what they do, but we're also pushing them into new areas to explore and defining what's next, which is exciting.
Thank you. So how do you break into this business? What did you study? What was your first job out of college? How'd you get that job? Give me the rundown there.
So funny. How do you break into this industry? I think a lot of people stumble into advertising because, I'll give you my journey. I went to Clark Atlanta and HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia. I majored in mass media arts with a concentration in public relations. And I thought, I definitely want to work for a PR agency. Burson Marstella, some of the big ones out there. I was interviewing and throwing my resume out there and never really got a call back or traction there. So I was getting nervous my senior year. And I start opening up my search, and I saw this in the Career Center, a advertisement that actually Starcom Leo Burnett was coming to our Career Center to interview for this media agency, and this was back in 2000. Media agencies were not as big as they are today back then, and I'm like, how different could it be from PR, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So let me just interview, and I did. And ended up getting the job, moved to Chicago, worked at Starcom, Leo Burnett. But I never lost my passion for public relations, right? It's about, what is the story, right? How do you sort of create the headline for a brand? So at Starcom, I learned the fundamentals of media planning and media buying. I worked on P&G and also Miller Lite.
Wow.
So big brands, working with brand managers, and 9/11 happened. And I'm from California. I said, I don't want to be this far away from home. Start interviewing in LA, moved to LA and continued down the path of media planning. I went to Mindshare, then I went to Deutsch, OMD, and I'm just constantly building my career and my resume based upon the brands I was working on.
Interesting.
Mindshare, I worked at a global tech brand. Then I start entering into auto space. I worked on Mitsubishi Auto, at Deutsch, and then OMD, I worked on Nissan. That's where I met Complex.
Okay.
So there was an intersection at OMD. Mark Echo was launching this magazine, and they wanted to partner with Nissan.
Okay.
And so, but I'll keep going. We can always go back to that. 18 years of agency life. I worked at Team One, which is a Saatchi company, and I worked on the Lexus brand for about 9.5 years. Grew up really in advertising there.
Yeah.
Did a lot of great things with the brand. From Fashion Week activations, we called it out of home just to be able to pitch it and get the approval. Then I went on to work at Walton Isaacson, which is Lexus's multicultural agency, to head up their actual media practice. They had never had a head of media, and they asked me to come over since I was very familiar with the auto brand, and launch their media department. So I did that and was lucky enough to work with Marvel and did probably the biggest partnership of my career, which is integrating Lexus into the Black Panther film.
Nice.
So we launched that, and I thought to myself, I'll never sort of match this level of partnership on the agency side. What else can I do? NBC Universal had an open role on the West Coast to oversee strategy and client partnerships for their auto category. So I went there and started my sales career, and that evolved into working at Complex.
Wow. Okay. Got it. What would you say throughout your media agency career span, like, or some big lessons that you learned? Like, how can people break and be successful within the media landscape?
Yeah, it was always about, for me, being innovative and never sort of being comfortable with doing status quo. And I think I was lucky enough to work with brands that allowed me to be creative and also pushed me there. Going back to when we worked with Mark Echo, when he launched Complex, they came to Nissan, and we came up with this really innovative idea to, back then, do a brand partnership, which that was not what we called it. But he, as part of his media sort of foray, right? He was a clothing designer that decided to launch a lifestyle brand, media brand. And so we wanted to take his design ethos and have him sort of modify two vehicles, the Nissan Armada and the Nissan Pathfinder, and do it in such a way that aligned with his apparel line, but also show the differentiation of the two SUVs.
Interesting.
We launched that at the Magic Show, which is a huge apparel trade show in Vegas. And then we did mini events, and we actually created merchandise. So we had a jacket and I think it was a suit coat that we launched along with those vehicles. And we, were able to debut that at events. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, I was going to say that's just kind of what we're doing today. A combination of where we started is what we're doing on steroids.
For sure. If I was a media planner, I would buy one Super Bowl slot a year and just call it a day. Just relax. Like, I'd be awful.
That's what most people do, unfortunately.
And just sleep throughout the whole year. We got one spot. We're good. Don't mess it up, creatives.
Well, and it's so funny you say that. How long do you think it takes to actually come up with a Super Bowl commercial from like start to execution?
Probably like 4 months.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
We're doing mini Super Bowl spots every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
With multiple brands.
For sure. You got a tough job over there. That's impressive.
Well, there's a team.
I don't know. I like my career path with the Super Bowl strategy.
Well, there's a team of people.
Yeah.
We're not alone. And, I think the impact that we have on brands by being intentional and custom goes further than I think just that one and done, right? Like, I feel that's what makes what we do so special. And I think the team, if I could speak for them, they love that rush of actually coming up with that big idea every time.
Do you work with external agencies ever?
We do. We
Yeah.
work. Sometimes our clients will bring in
Yeah.
their activation agency,
But they got to
or
work with you guys too to know how
Yeah.
to like intertwine
Yeah.
correctly.
Well, we'll work with the agency directly,
Yeah.
right? And they'll go to the client and pitch the ideas as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of avenues to get to that approval, if you will.
Yeah. But every brand that's interested in reaching the complex audience has to start with you. Just say hello and figure out
Yeah.
like how can we work together, and there will be some sort of solution if it's the right fit.
Right. And, a lot of brands, it's funny enough, some will tell us, well, we're not cool enough. We're
Yeah.
not cool enough for complex.
I would say no to a lot of people if I were you.
Well,
Absolutely not to this brand.
I
Don't even think about it.
I think that we're here to help them break and enter culture, right?
We're both to the point. I like that. I like that. But I feel like with your brand, there is a natural filter. Like people might be intimidated.
Yeah.
But
It's right. And I think because we are consultative, we're the experts,
Mhm.
you have to live and breathe the space. I'm no longer in that demo. I have teenage children, so Gen Z kids that I, tap into on a daily basis. But just reading our content, immersing ourselves in the audience, going to our events, going to other events, right?
Mhm.
I go to gaming events. I go to the festivals. I have
So
to be on the pulse of, what makes young people move and respond. And I can go into an event and know that it didn't work based upon, what I know about the audience, what we're doing, what we hear, what the feedback we get from our audience. So you have to, if you're in this space, you have to want to always learn and be curious about the audience and about whatever, sort of content, and in this case, culture, and that spans art, right? Music, design, sports. And you have to, know a lot about a lot of things, and just be a curious person. And I think that really drives those big ideas and makes something special happen.
For sure. A lot of listening, low ego, know what's going on with the audience for sure.
But you also have to be sensitive to what the brands are looking for,
Mhm.
right? Because to your point earlier, not everyone might feel or can play in the space. I almost say there's very few brands who can't,
Mm.
because there's always a way. You just have to be willing to take either a risk or trust, because it might not be the way that the brand wants to sort of enter the space or activate, with the audience. But if they can trust us, and sometimes it's just a small test, right? They might not want to go 2 feet in. I think we surprise brands as to how uniquely connected we can make, sort of intersect their brand
Yeah.
with our content.
Do you guys have internships that people can look into?
We do. We just, funny enough, rebooted our internship program this summer.
Nice.
Since before COVID.
Okay. So it's back. Hashtag back.
Yeah.
It's May 15th right now. Are they open?
We are not open. We just closed our internship process.
The next year.
Opened and closed.
Nice try, everybody.
Yeah.
No, that's why we do that at the very end. Mhm.
But we do look to bring in new, younger blood into our industry.
Sounds like
It's
you have to.
super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. From our social team to our content team to our experiential team. And we have jobs available all the time.
Yeah.
Look on LinkedIn. We have a slew of them. We've grown quite a bit over the last year. I'm
That's
not
good.
sure if you guys know, but February of last year, 2024, Universal Music Group and Network, which is an e-commerce company, that was CEO Aaron Levant, came and bought Complex from BuzzFeed.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, when Network took over Complex, Aaron Levant, who's the CEO, as I mentioned, he was an ex-Complex employee, very much known for the brainchild and creator of ComplexCon.
Got it.
And Moksha Fitzgibbons, who's my president, is employee number 5 of Complex, also was at Network. Mike Tresvant, my EVP, was also at Network, past Complex employee. The band is back together.
That's awesome.
So it definitely, the last year, we've seen a huge growth in audience. We've seen a huge growth in brand partnerships.
Yeah.
As well as a lot of the activations and partnerships that we are doing, because the ownership today, and Mark Echo's back. I'm not sure if you guys know that. He's heading up our innovation and commerce vision of the organization. He came back probably now 3 weeks ago. So this organization has some of the original founders, and the amount of sort of success that we're having is as the result of their vision, and really their passion for this brand. So it's a very exciting time to be here, and you're going to see so much more to come.
I can't wait. Well, Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us, telling your story, your advice, and giving us the rundown on Complex. This is so fun. I'm going to be following along and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Nicely done.